Welcome to my Top Techniques of 25 wrap-up. This year, I fell in love with some messy, colorful, gloriously surprising methods that resulted in beautiful cards. The first technique is watercolor powders with pastes and a stencil. Way back in January, I made this birthday card with an old Hero Art stencil and white hero paste and watercolor powders. And before that, I used the same stencil with stencil butter and watercolor powders to make this Christmas card. This is the Divine stencil from Lavinia, and I love the small repetitive tile-like pattern in it. I started by taping it down with my very expensive yellow tape because I couldn't find my blue masking tape. My watercolor paper is the same size pretty much as the stencil, and I don't want anything shifting. I spread some molding paste through the stencil using a palette knife. I actually have two of those big white wide spreaders somewhere, but I couldn't find them either. I don't know what's going on here today. I worked it until I had a pretty even coating over the whole page, and then I carefully removed the tape and the stencil, and I think that looks so pretty, even just white on white. But I grabbed 3 Lindy's Magicals, Teeny Weeny Bikini, Pass the Jam Jane, and Looney Toony Teal, kind of a primary mix of colors, and once it was dry, I sprinkled them over top of the paste. I tried to get a good spread of the colors so I would get some nice blends, as well as areas that were pure yellow, pink, and teal. I spritzed water over top and I let the colors bloom into bigger areas. I picked up the paper and I tilted it so the water and color could just kind of run around the paste. And then I played a bit and added more pigment and then more water, then more pigment until I was pretty happy with it. I'm using some new watercolor paper today that's 100% cotton, and it's definitely absorbing more water than the Ranger watercolor cardstock I usually use. I felt like the colors didn't spread as much as usual, but overall, it's still quite a pretty panel. I made 2 cards with the pieces of this panel, and I tried to do something a little unexpected with each one. First, I trimmed a square using the lines in the pattern, and then I cut out the second strip from the top. From that strip, I cut a Prism Celebrate word, and I stacked it up along with 2 white die cuts for some dimension. Looking at it now, I wish I had added the shadow to that die cut in a darker color to give better legibility down on the ATE side of the word, or maybe even blended some blue ink on that area. For my second card, I used black as my neutral to add some drama and make the colors really pop. I cut the panel on an angle at the bottom right, and I fit a Moonstone Congratulations die with its shadow. I added a few colorful dots cut from the leftovers of another panel that we'll get to next. Next is a technique I struggled with for a while before finally figuring it out earlier this year. I learned this technique using watercolor powders and stencils from my friend Amy, and she always gets great results with it, so let's see how it goes. This is that new 100% cotton watercolor paper again. My stencil's a little too big for my box, which is a bit annoying. So I put my cardstock right up to the right side of the box so I can maximize what I hope is going to be my good area, and I just let the left side of the stencil curl up a bit. Before I went any further, I added a good coat of pixie spray to the back of the stencil. This stencil is from Joggles and it's called Chain Gang. Because the chains are attached to the frame only at the top and the bottom, it's very, very floppy, but it has a really fun mid-century modern feel, which I love. It's kind of groovy. I used a clean brayer to make sure that the stencil was really sticking down to the cardstock. When you do this technique, you don't want any water or color getting underneath the stencil. I played around a bit to make sure that the position of each of those floppy strips of stencils were where I wanted them, and then I started sprinkling the powders down. I did add a bit of water first. I think it kind of helps the powders stick where they land and not move around at all, but I don't think it's really necessary. Again, I tried to spread the colors around so I would get a good mix and some nice blends, and when I added the water, it really just seemed to get sucked up by that paper. Yeah, the colors kind of burst a bit, which is kind of neat, and maybe I'll go back and try one where I lift the stencil at this stage and see what I've got, but it wasn't the look I wanted today. It did show me where I might need a bit more powder, so I added some before I moved on. Now, the trickiest part of this technique is making sure you don't have too much water, but obviously I needed more than this, so I kept adding more, a bit at a time, and lifting the box to kind of tilt it and get things moving. I also got out a paintbrush to help move the pigment around a bit, and I kept adding powder, then water, and tilting again until I felt like I had good coverage. Then I held my breath and removed the stencil. And look how crisp that is. And look at those beautiful blends. There's really a whole rainbow here. And of course, I had a bunch of colors still left on the stencil. So I quickly grabbed a piece of my much less expensive Ranger watercolor cardstock and I pressed the stencil down onto that to create another background, or at least a nice start to another background. And the bonus to doing that is that it also helps clean the stencil at the same time. Once my main panel was dry, I grabbed some gold watercolor and I splattered that over top. I don't really need shimmer spray today because the Magicals have shimmer built right in. And I added some navy blue splatter as well. This is some acrylic paint that I just thinned out with water a bit. For my first card with this panel, I simply trimmed a square and I added that Celebrate die cut from Prism, and I used a black shadow. This shadow is very narrow and it adds definition, but it doesn't take up too much space and cover the background. For the second card, I trimmed it with a tiny scalloped circle die from Tonic. I love how small those scallops are. They just add a little bit of interest at the edge. I backed it onto a black square to make the colors pop, and I added a sentiment from Creative Worship stamps. I really like that clean lowercase font. Now I'm sure you know what my third technique is. It's that abstract painting that was inspired by Denise Love. When I made these Christmas cards, my colors were super intense and layered up, and I wanted to try something a little brighter and maybe with a little more white space. I tipped some of the Magicals into my plastic palette, and then I used a dropper to add some water to each one. I'm hoping these patterns will give more of the granulating effect since they are made up of different colored pigments. I decided to just go with a simple shape, a circle, and I overlapped them all over my page. I got blends of colors where they layered up, and I just kept filling it in, including adding some dots in some of the white spaces. I spritzed the panel with water so that as it dried, it blended even more, and the colors softened quite a bit. When it was dry, I chose a small stencil from a Colorful Life Designs called Crossword. I felt like the straight little boxes would be a nice contrast to all the curves on the panel, and I used some very dark blue paint and a cheap blending brush to add that. This time I painted the whole panel rather than taping it in sections, so I did try to keep in mind where I might cut my card panels from to ensure that any of my added designs would end up on every card. Next, I grabbed the Doodle Wheel stencil and some gold acrylic paint. This is just a little tube of Amsterdam light gold, and it's quite translucent, so the effect is very, very subtle on those bright colors. Again, I worked around the whole piece so that any card front I'll cut will get some of that sparkle. Like the previous technique, I splattered some gold Kuretake watercolor over the whole panel, and then also some of the navy paint. Now, usually by this time, I'm starting to really like the panel and see the potential of it, but this time it just wasn't happening. I trimmed it down to 4 squares, and as usual, that helped quite a bit, but I still wasn't sure about the white space. At this point, the top left panel was the most appealing to me, with the most blends and the least white space. Denise, who is the artist who inspired me to give this a try, loves to do mark making with various media, including graphite and pastels and crayons, and that is definitely outside of my comfort zone. But still, I decided to add some little white dots with a POSCA paint pen. For the first one, I did them kind of randomly, and this goes really, really quickly. You just tap the marker down and the dots are pretty perfect. And by going that quickly, you don't have a lot of control, and it does really start to look quite random. The second panel, I decided to add white dots to the little navy rectangles. I was curious to see if I would like it, and it's okay. It looks a little too much like dominoes to me, but it does brighten up those dark areas a little bit. I think it's good to experiment and follow your curiosity. And even though this ended up as likely my least favorite panel, I think it's still okay. For the final two, I added the white dots to the curves of the blue circles. My brain really likes to know where to put things, and random is not always easy for me. So this kind of gave me a rule to follow, if you will, while still looking a little bit whimsical. So I'm thinking in future sessions, I'll pull in maybe some small background type stamps, or maybe even some heat embossing. In the meantime, adding white dots is my first little dipping of my toe into mark making. For my first card with this technique, I used my favorite panel and I cut a negative frame with 2 circle dies before adding Stickles to the edge of the circle. I used that same Prism Celebrate die cut to finish it off. And then I used one of the other panels, one with white space, but I cut it down with a Pink Fresh Studio cover plate die, which helps to break up the intensity of the colors. I popped that up on the card and then I finished with the Moonstone Congratulations die cut. And maybe my final favorite technique of this year is to use up the leftovers. When you've done all the work to make these amazing panels, even the tiniest little scraps can be used to make beautiful cards with some simple tools and imagination. I've got lots of leftovers from today's session, and I ran out of time to create more than just this one card where I alternated strips from different parts of the patterns on that watercolor chain gang panel. I finished this one very simply with a stamped Julie Hickey thank you sentiment. I'm definitely noticing that my interests seem to be trending more towards mixed media, which is a little surprising. I mean, 5 years ago, Paste and I would not have been in the same room. I love these techniques because even though they can be messy and unpredictable, they give beautiful results even while there's still more to learn and try. I'll link the original videos below in case you're interested in seeing more. Are there any new techniques you're looking forward to trying? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.